Great to have you with us today on Yes, streaming on the Gotham app and PinstripeBowl.com for today's press conference covering the two teams that will be playing in this year's Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl. Chris Sheeran and Executive Director Mark Holtzman here with you in studio. We will be joined shortly by the athletic directors and head coaches of these two teams going head-to-head Saturday, December 28th at noon on ABC. Nebraska and Boston College. You got the ACC, you got the Big Ten. What was the selection process like?
Well, Chris, first of all, you want two schools that really want to play in the game. And from early on in the season, both Boston College and Nebraska expressed a strong interest to play here, which is what you want. You want a motivated team, you want a motivated administration, you want a motivated fan base. The selection process itself is a little convoluted because you really don't know until the Sunday of the draft process actually what's going to happen. A lot of things can happen that affect it. With the Big Ten, we have a straight pick. We pick after the bowl in Nashville. So we had a pretty idea going into the game where we were going to pick. And we're fortunate that we were able to pick Nebraska. Obviously, a very popular pick. Other bowls would have liked to have had them. Fortunately, we got them. With the ACC, it's a pool. There are three bowls in the pool. It's the Sun Bowl in El Paso, Texas, Duke's Mayo, and ourselves. Fortunately, we work well with the two other bowls. And there's a little going back and forth because we kind of try and have to work it out amongst ourselves. And we try and get some regionality in it because some schools will relate more in some markets better than other markets. And fortunately, it worked out, and we got Boston College, which has done well in the past. So we're very, very happy with who we've selected this year. There are a few criteria that really go into who you want to pick, Chris. You want some star power on both teams, and I think we have that. And you want players who are going to actually play in the game. With Nebraska, you have freshman Dylan Rhule, who's maybe the top freshman quarterback in the Big Ten. Finished the season very strong, especially now that he has our old buddy Dana Holgerson as the offensive coordinator there. Did really well. We're very excited to have him. And, of course, running back Emmett Johnson, one of the top running backs in the country. There's star power right there. And on the Boston College side, you have Ty Robichaux, who is the all-conference running back, who's an outstanding player, as well as, I hope I pronounce it right, Donovan Ezeruko. Who is the defensive lineman, who is ACC Defensive Lineman of the Year. So you have the star power, which really makes a difference going into the game. And then there are a few other criteria. I mean, the Big Ten, when we entered into this, they wanted to get us a variety of schools, which we wanted to do. We wanted to showcase all the different brands in the Big Ten. And believe it or not, Nebraska will be the 10th school in 10 years that we're having here. So, and we're very pleased about that. We've been waiting to have Nebraska for a long time. It's their first bowl game since 2016.
Right.
Chris. So there's a lot of pent-up demand there, so to speak. And, when you have, you get 90,000 people at every game, a sellout since 1962, those are a lot of fans. And we think they'll want to come here. The first bowl appearance in a while, New York City, we're very excited about having them. And Boston College, of course, this is their third Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl. They've done very well here in the past. Their brand really relates to this area. You have so many, 80,000 alumni within a 150-mile radius, all up and down from New York to the Connecticut Gold Coast where you live, and right into Boston.
Right.
So you have a real large fan base to choose from, and they're ending the season well. They won 3 out of their last 4 games. You want the schools to have momentum. They won 3 out of their last 4 games. Boston College, they almost beat SMU, who's going to the big dance. So you want some schools with momentum, and of course, both are coached by 2 former NFL coaches, which I think adds a lot. This Bill O'Brien at Boston College, and of course Matt Rhule, local New York guy, coming back home, at Nebraska. And I also want to take this opportunity to welcome the ADs who are going to be on with us, both Blake James at Boston College and Troy Dannon at Nebraska, as well as the 2 head coaches, Bill O'Brien and Matt Rhule. I mean, Yankee Stadium has so much of a history And these schools do as well. I mean, you look at the history of both of these programs, Chris. You look at the head coaches, Tom Osborne, Bob Devaney at Nebraska, and you look at some of Nebraska's players going way back. It seemed like when we were growing up, every year Nebraska was in the Orange Bowl.
100%.
Right. I remember my grandparents taking me to Florida every year, and we stayed at the hotel where Nebraska actually stayed at. And I actually got Jerry Taggy's and Johnny Rogers, Irving Fryer's, and Stanley Morgan's autograph from way back when. I mean, so it has a special meaning to me. And then, of course, Boston College. I don't know if you know this, but it's the 40-year anniversary this month of the Hail Mary from Doug Flutie to Gerald Phelan. And there's such.
I was surrounded by Miami fans that day.
Okay. Well, that was in my. You must have had a rough time getting out. And then, of course, later you have Matty Ice, Matt Ryan, who played there. So there's so much history with both schools, and there's so much history at Yankee Stadium, and we're very excited about all the history coalescing and having one great week of great fandom, a lot of opportunities to visit the highlights of New York, and then obviously a great game.
Well, I think that's what you bring up, the history, and I think that's what goes into this game on December 28th at noon on ABC. You have Nebraska, who you mentioned, has their first bowl appearance since 2016. Matt Rhule in his second year as the head coach there. First-year head coach Bill O'Brien is in his first bowl game with Boston College. So you have the history of both of these programs and the history of New York and Yankee Stadium, and you put those two things together, and the excitement has to be off the charts.
Well, that's what we like to believe. Initial sales have gone very strong. Nebraska, a lot of pent-up demand, and of course Boston College. You have a lot of Boston College alumni in the belt who regularly come to Yankee Stadium. And Chris, you want that combination. You want the big national brand in Nebraska from the Midwest, and then you want to have the local school that still has national prominence in Boston College. So we'd like to say it's the perfect storm.
It is the perfect storm indeed. Now let's turn to Nebraska Director of Athletics, Troy Dannon. Troy, your thoughts on heading to the Pinstripe Bowl at Yankee Stadium?
Well, we're thrilled. It's been a while, right? It's 8 years out, but this is bowl game 54. Nebraska has a great storied history, and a lot of people are already making references back to the Gotham Bowl, I think in 62, which was the last time Nebraska was in the city. But, for our fans, to get back into the bowl mix again, and then to get to do it in the city in December, there is something special. I'm actually at the National Football Foundation event honoring one of our past coaches. Frank Solich is going to the Hall of Fame, but this event was in New York City for the longest time, and I think a lot of us around college football understand that December in New York City is probably the best time, the greatest time. So we have about 4,000 alums in the city and the tri-state area. So, getting it to engage them, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of excitement, and I'm happy for our program to get back. This is an important step for us to get back where we think we belong.
Troy, thank you very much. Now, for the head coach, Matt Rhule, in your second season with the Huskers, your first bowl appearance, and it's the first bowl appearance for Nebraska since 2016. How excited is the team to be playing in New York City?
Well, we're unbelievably excited and grateful. We've worked really hard to get to this point, and a tough schedule this year. Had a chance to play against a lot of great teams, and to have that continue against a great Boston College team. I remember watching them to start the year, beat Florida State. I have so much respect for Bill O'Brien, going back to when he was the head coach of my alma mater, Penn State, and the great job that he did. So I know it'll be a great game. As you mentioned, I'm a New York City alum. We've got 6 guys on our team that are either from North Jersey or from New York City, and so this will be really special for us. And some of the best moments of my young life growing up in the city were taking the train, going to see a Yankee game. And since this game first came to fruition, years ago when you first had the Pinstripe Bowl, and I've always wanted this opportunity to have that now. For me also as the head coach to know that Coach Devaney's first game was the Gotham Bowl. I talked to his son the other day talking about that experience. Everything seems to come full circle. So we're grateful. We're excited. We're excited for our fans. 2 years ago when I was out in December, my wife and I went to the city, went to see the Rockettes and everything for December. So I know it's going to be an amazing, amazing, amazing experience for our guys, and also a great football game.
Matt, it's just great to hear that a local New York guy and those kids too, the kids that play for him, coming back home and playing near their hometowns around Christmas time. And now we head to the ACC participant in this year's game, the Boston College Eagles. Their director of athletics is Blake James. Blake, it's your school's third appearance in the Pinstripe Bowl. How excited are your student athletes and fans to be playing so close to home over the holidays?
Oh, I think everyone's thrilled to have an opportunity to be in New York. As you said, it's our third experience. So for our kids on our team, it's not something they've experienced before, but for our fans, they know what a first-class experience it is. For me personally, having attended the bowl before, I know it's one of the great experiences in all of college football. And, credit to Mark and the team there for the event that they put on. So we're excited.
Thank you very much, Blake. We're going to stick here in studio now, turn back to Mark Holtzman. What will these two teams, and we hope to hear from Bill O'Brien in just a bit, but what will these two teams experience during bowl week?
Well, obviously, Christmas week in New York is very special, Chris. And we want these kids to be able to go back home and tell their parents, and someday tell their kids, and their kids tell their grandkids, that they were able to be in New York Christmas week, that they were able to see the tree at Rockefeller Center, that we have a bunch of stuff that's going to be really special for them. The first night, of course, we're having the welcome party at Yankee Stadium, and the field's going to be lit. It's a very special evening for the traveling party. Then, of course, everyone gets to go to Radio City, as Coach Rhule alluded to. What's more New York than going to see the Rockettes at Radio City Christmas week? Then, of course, we take the kids to see the 9/11 memorial. I mean, let's face it, most of these kids weren't alive when that happened.
Right.
And it obviously affected all of our lives, mine and yours and everyone else's, for the rest of our lives. And we feel it's important that these kids see it and they see what went on in New York. And it's a very moving time. And as long as we have a bowl here, we're going to continue to do that every year because we think it's very important. Then, of course, we ring the bell at the New York Stock Exchange. We get the team captains, the head coaches, a few other representatives from me. And what a great opportunity. I mean, 200 million people around the world see the ringing of the bell at the New York Stock Exchange, and these kids get to experience it and be part of it. So a lot of very special stuff. And then, of course, the community outreach continues to be very important for us. We work with the Kids Pediatric Center at Memorial Sloan Kettering, and then also the Red Cross of the greater New York area. And we have both teams participating in that, and a lot of kids signing stuff and giving out gifts. And we really that's always amazing. The charitable component is a very important part of what the Yankee organization do, what the Steinbrenner family stands for, and what we as the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl also want to stand for as well. And then finally, amongst other things, the night before the game itself, we're going to light up the New York skyline with the colors of the BC Eagles and the Nebraska Cornhuskers. One World Trade Center is going to be lit in both teams' colors, as well as one Bryant Park. So you're going to see the colors lighting up the sky the night before. So it's going to be a special week for everyone. We also have a lot of other events planned for the traveling parties. We have a boat cruise, for example. We're taking everyone on a boat cruise around the harbor. And what's more New York than taking everyone on a boat cruise and seeing the Statue of Liberty in Ellis Island, where maybe your ancestors came in, and that's the first place they saw Ellis Island. So we're trying to hit the highlights and make it very special for everyone.
Yeah, there's a lot to do in New York City
in a short period of time.
Yes, and the players are going to get to experience all that stuff. Now let's get to head coach Bill O'Brien, first year at Boston College, first bowl appearance. How beneficial, Bill, is it for the team to play in New York and be featured in this game at Yankee Stadium?
This is a great honor for BC to play, in this bowl in New York City, in Yankee Stadium, and to play a legendary program like the University of Nebraska. I see Coach Rhule on the Zoom here, and just to have the honor to go up against him and his team, it just means a lot to Boston College. Boston College is a unique place, and we feel good about the season that we had. We feel like we're on the right track, and what a way to cap it off by having a shot to go play in this bowl game. So we're very honored to be in this bowl game, and excited about the opportunity.
Coach O'Brien, Coach Rhule, thank you so much for those thoughts. Once again, the game will air on ABC Saturday, December 28th. You can go to www.pinstripebowl.com to purchase tickets.